Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, we're going to be looking at two articles. One article detailing possibly more information on nuclear tests and UFO science, and other, are we building Elysium for real? We'll get into this subject after we read this first article. UFO anomalies spike on nuclear test days, study finds. So let's get into this article and once again hear about how nuclear weapons tests might have basically sparked people seeing UFOs. Let's get into it now. A groundbreaking pre-point study from astronomers Beatriz Villarreal and colleagues has uncovered a strange and potentially historic link between unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, and humanity's most destructive technological moments, nuclear bomb testing. Yeah, I'm thinking this article details a little more of the subject we covered before, folks, so let's continue reading, because it sounds very interesting. Using decades-old astronomical data from the POS-I-Sky survey and the Vasco project, the team scanned hundreds of thousands of photographic plates for transient light events, bright flashes in the sky that appear once and vanish with no apparent natural or known technological cause. On most nights, these events were sparse, but on days aligned with known above-ground nuclear tests, the numbers skyrocketed. One particular day saw an incredible 4,528 transient detections across the night sky, the researchers note in the preprint report. While no definitive claim of extraterrestrial craft is made, the statistical anomaly is striking and has fueled speculation in the UFO community that advanced unknown observers may be monitoring humanity's nuclear experimentation. Indeed, that's startling information, folks, and it could possibly be true. But let's continue with the article and then discuss it later. UFOs and nukes, a pattern decades in the making. This new finding adds to a growing body of evidence suggesting a mysterious connection between nuclear weapons and UFO activity. Malmstrom Air Force Base incident, 1967. U.S. Air Force personnel reporting glowing objects hovering near a missile silo in Montana. Minutes later, 10 nuclear missiles went offline simultaneously. Soviet test site reports declassified Russian documents describe strange disc-shaped craft observing atomic detonations during the height of the Cold War. Modern-day UAP briefings. Multiple whistleblowers, including former Pentagon insiders, claim that nuclear weapons systems remain a focus of unexplained aerial phenomena interactions even in recent decades. Researchers Robert Hastings has compiled decades of testimony from military personnel suggesting UFO activity spikes near nuclear weapons facilities and test sites worldwide. The new Vasco data could be the first large-scale quantitative evidence supporting these long-held suspicions. What could these anomalies be? Scientists remain cautious about drawing conclusions. Potential explanations include atmospheric effects from high-altitude nuclear blasts causing reflections or optical distortions on photographic plates, sensor errors from early 20th century astronomical equipment, unknown high-energy astrophysical events coincidentally occurring on the same dates. Yet, the sheer number of anomalies detected on specific nuclear test days, thousands compared to near zero on control days, makes coincidence hard to accept. If even a fraction of these transients are real physical events, we're missing something important in our understanding of the night sky, Villarreal stated in a follow-up discussion of the results. Why this story could change the UFO debate. For decades, government UFO disclosures have focused on military pilot sightings and modern-day radar returns. This study adds a cosmic scale. Indeed it does, folks, and while these particular pictures might be caused by some sort of atmospheric reaction to the nuclear tests, that could possibly be right, folks, but the sheer number of them basically speaks to the fact that maybe there's something more going on here, folks. Perhaps we're being watched as we basically, delve into the study of nuclear testing, and this continues to happen to this very day, folks. And these watchers, maybe they come from somewhere else, maybe far beyond our solar system, folks. Either way, very interesting. But let's move on to the next article. NASA's low Earth orbit plans spark fears of a future class divide, and read how, people fear that maybe the movie Elysium could basically one day be true, folks. And, that is something we need to basically look into. So let's get into it now. Are we building Elysium? A quiet revolution is unfolding above our heads. In May 2025, NASA updated its roadmap to commercialize low Earth orbit LEO, outlining a future where private companies, not governments, run orbital platforms. This initiative is called the Low Earth Orbit Economy, but one question looms large for those watching from the ground. Who will actually get to live and work up there? And a more unsettling one follows. Are we witnessing the early stages of a real-life Elysium, where the rich float in orbital luxury while the poor inherit the Earth? Indeed, folks, is that what's going on here? And if so, it should, well, be put a stop to, because this is going to basically just lead to very bad things. And not just for the movie Elysium actually happening, because that's still fiction and the reality would probably be far worse. And I don't mean that basically that we'd be slaves. It would probably result in, as I said, a war. But we can discuss that after we finish off this article. From research stations to orbital cities, NASA's LEO efforts are focused on replacing the aging International Space Station, ISS, with commercial alternatives like Orbital Reef and Starlab. These platforms aim to serve research labs, space tourists, and corporations. According to NASA, our goal is to enable a robust low Earth orbit economy supported by multiple commercial destinations. Source nasa.gov. Elysium isn't just a movie anymore. The 2013 sci-fi film Elysium portrayed an Earth ruined by overpopulation and disease, while the wealthy lived in a pristine orbital habitat. What once seemed like fiction now mirrors current developments in commercial space access. With space tourism seats already costing over $50 million and private stations being developed without a clear public access guarantee, critics warn that we may be replicating those dystopian dynamics in real life. Who benefits and who doesn't? NASA's shift to privatization is marketed as a cost-saving strategy. However, the price of access remains astronomical. SpaceX Crew Dragon seat is $55 million. Private orbital station access limited to corporations and space agencies. NASA will be one of many customers, but what about scientists from developing countries, educators, or even an average citizen? Critics say this new space economy may widen inequality rather than solve it. An economy above our heads. LEO, or as I'll call it now, folks, LEO, offers potential for biotech material science and pharmaceutical breakthroughs in zero gravity, but if this new frontier is walled off to the highest bidders, it could consolidate power even further in the hands of spacefaring billionaires, who will own the patents developed in orbit and who will reap the benefits. Signals from the ground. Ethicists are calling for regulatory frameworks to prevent an Elysium scenario. A user in Reddit's, our futurology commented, "The future isn't us colonizing space, it's the 1% building vacation homes above the climate apocalypse." That is, if you believe there's going to be a climate apocalypse. I don't. At least not one down to basically pollution or anything like that, folks. It could be that one day the environment of the planet could go bad, but it will probably be due to a solar event or maybe a meteor impact, and not to us, folks. Either way, I just wanted to say that before we continue. That's just my 2 cents there. NASA insists it's democratizing access, but without clear access pipelines for undeserved communities, this vision remains aspirational. Conclusion. Science fiction meets reality. NASA's low Earth orbit economy is not just about space. It's about who has access to progress without safeguards. We risk building an orbiting paradise that mirrors Earth's worst inequalities. As the orbital economy lifts off, we must ask, will this future uplift everyone or just a privileged few? Indeed, folks, we have to ask, what will happen in the future? Will we end up living in Elysium? I have my doubts, but I do believe that maybe there will be space colonies one day, and even colonies up on Mars. And maybe they'll even be self-sufficient enough to one day have their own governments. But that's something that we can only speculate at this point, folks. But is it possible that we will one day live in Elysium? As I said, I think that's doubtful, because I'm thinking that the planet itself will still be habitable and very well for billions of years yet. But folks, the fact that this could happen is terrifying, but I'm not quite sure it will happen exactly the way they think. There could be rich people in space, but they'll probably also be served by lower class workers, the average man, and the middle class, if they end up building something like a space colony and stuff like that. But that's something to expect. But we can make the world a better place. Anyway, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics that are bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit the part of the bell that will give you all future notifications. And please, share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for coming, but until tomorrow, bye.